But that made it all the more shocking that he was felled by a scandal. And there were a lot of things going on during his presidency at Harvard, and a lot of professors that he alienated that eventually led the faculty to have a vote of no confidence in him. But the one that mattered more than any other was a controversy where he was completely and entirely correct. And there was, in an objective sense, no scandal really at all. What had happened was the National Bureau of Economic Research had held a conference on women in science. And Summers had been invited to speak on the subject of how to get more women into science. And the remarks were supposed to be off the record, and they were also extemporaneous. So this was not delivered remarks. He was just giving his sincere assessment of where the real barriers to women's advancement in the hard sciences lay. And he identified two that were a little bit difficult to talk about. The first is the male and female bell curves in terms of aptitude. You see this in a lot of other characteristics as well, that there are just tend to be more men at the extremes, both extremes, the extremes of lack of intelligence and also extremes of intelligence. So there are simply more men than women way out there at the tail end of the bell curve. And the other is consistent differences in interests. That is, even when you do have women who are high-powered enough upstairs to make it as tenured Ivy League professors, they tend to be drawn to disciplines that involve human beings as opposed to really super abstract things like theoretical physics. So Larry Summers gave these remarks, which were well within the scientific mainstream in terms of psychology and studies that have been done, and yet the response among the women professors in the audience was to say, "How dare you?" In fact, these women went to a reporter, which they were not supposed to do because the talk was supposed to be off the record. But they went to a reporter and they said, "I had to stand up and leave or else I would have fainted," or "I was about to throw up." Now, to be clear, there were also some women in the audience who, when the New York Times called them to get their sense of this scandal, there was one economist, Paula Stephen, who gave the quote, "This is what happens at a scientific conference. You hear ideas you disagree with, and then you debate them on the basis of reason and evidence." But there were enough women who said that what Larry Summers had said was beyond the pale, that they were able to extract from him not one but three statements of apology, and eventually tar him as a misogynist. So these women were able to take down one of the most powerful men in America without ever really offering any evidence or even any argument that he was wrong. They just said that what he said was offensive, made them want to throw up. And that is the style of debate that characterizes wokeness, not having conversations, but shutting down conversations.